Continuing now with our hour-long look at the top midterm races. One of the campaigns that could decide control of the Senate is in Ohio, between Republican JD Vance and Democrat Tim Ryan. Vance is an author, venture capitalist, and a retired Marine. Ryan, a congressman, has been in office since 2003. His district includes Youngstown and the Akron area. Ryan has long been considered someone who can lead Democrats, they think, because he is more politically moderate. Right now, 538 says in its models, it favors Vance to win 72 out of 100 scenarios. But the website's latest poll averages show Ryan with a lead, just under 2%. That's down from last month when Ryan's lead was at 4.5 points. Ryan has vastly out-fundraised Vance during the campaign. By the end of June, the margin was more than 6-1. Ryan has outspent Vance on TV ads more than 8-1. Now Senator Mitch McConnell's PAC is putting millions into ad buys for Vance across the state. Ryan's tried to appeal to moderates in Ohio. His campaign ads leave out that he's a Democrat. He was asked about that on CNN.
You don't advertise that you're a Democrat. Is that because it's an implicit recognition it's a liability here?
Yeah, well, I mean, the Democratic brand, as we know, and you and I have talked about this for a long time, is not good in a lot of these places. And I tell people, look, I'm an American. You're an American.
Meanwhile, after harsh criticism of Donald Trump in 2016, Vance has embraced former President Trump, who won Ohio in 2016 and 2020. Trump endorsed Vance in the Republican primary. President Trump scheduled to hold a rally with Vance on September the 17th in Ryan's district, while Ryan campaigned with President Biden today in the Columbus area. Vance could also get a boost from Republican Governor Mike DeWine. He's up for re-election, expected to win easily, which could help more Republicans who are there on Election Day. Joining me now is Mark Weaver, Republican strategist based in Ohio. Mark, thanks for coming back on the program. Really appreciate it. Now, before I ask you any of the things about the race, what do you make of the difference between the models that show 72 out of 100 times Vance wins, and yet in the polls, Vance appears to be down? How do we explain that to people?
When you amalgamate all the polls, that means some of the earlier polls where Ryan might have been doing better are holding back Vance's numbers. So amalgamating polls doesn't always get you the best poll. It's like taking everyone's favorite tomato sauce recipe, pouring them all in the same pot, and saying it tastes good.
All right. Thank you. That makes sense. Now, is the race closer than you would have thought it would be right now?
Not really. Although Ohio is a red-leaning state, JD Vance had a very difficult primary, and Tim Ryan didn't. As a result, Tim Ryan held back money and was able to spend it right after the primary, trying to convince Ohioans that he's moderate. Of course, he's voted with Joe Biden nearly 100% of the time, voted with Nancy Pelosi nearly 100% of the time, and has a very extreme view on abortion. He believes in abortion right up until the moment of birth. As a result, he's playing a moderate on TV, but Ohioans will soon know, if they don't already, he's pretty darn liberal.
But he's obviously succeeded at talking to Ohioans as a political moderate, right? And the goal is, right, on both sides to try and portray the other as an extremist, right? Because Ohio is a purple-ish state, becoming more red. But the goal is, my opponent is an extremist. Let me actually play a piece of sound. This is from Vance critiquing Ryan. This is number 2.
A lot of Democrats are very, very concerned about climate change and environmental issues. I'm really, really concerned about providing low-cost energy to the people of Ohio, and I think the common ground there is let's invest in nuclear and let's invest in natural gas, two very clean, two very high-quality sources of energy.
And then I want to play also a piece of sound. This is from the Ryan campaign responding to the attack, and I think it's going to be a critical issue, which is on policing, which is a very sensitive issue across the country. Here is Ryan responding to allegations that he is weak on policing in America.
Defunding the police is way off the mark. We need more cops, not less. My party also got it wrong on the trade deals that sent your jobs overseas.
It is interesting the way Ryan is, right? Basically, his ads are all about bashing Democrats, telling CNN, well, you know, I'm not really a Democrat.
He says he's an American. We're all Americans, Dan, but he is a liberal American. Ohioans know this. And ironically, the district he was running in, that he's been running in, has moved way towards Trump. He probably would have lost his election had he stayed in Congress, which is why he had to run for Senate, because the district, which is a blue-collar working-class district, has moved to the right, while he was once pro-life, by the way, is now extremely pro-abortion. Mm-hmm. He has moved hard to the left.
All right, we shall see. This is going to be a close one in the state of Ohio. Mark Weaver, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.